Okay, so Django, we are going to start from today. So Django means it's a web application framework. So framework means I think all of you are aware of that. So anybody can tell what is framework?
ಸರಿ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಂದು ಚಲೋ ಆಗ್ತಂತ ಹೋಗೇ ಬಂದು ತಡಿ ನಂದು ಒಟ್ಟು ಬಂದ್
So framework means, so as we know that, so it is particularly developed. It is a completely rich library. So that library will support exactly for some purpose. So for some purpose means it is a for web application. All the libraries which supports mainly on the to develop the web application. So in the web application, usually what will comes. So web application means, so these are all the there is a client and server architect. Client and server will come. So client side means, so in the client side, if in the any browser, we can load the front end HTML and CSS code. So when we want to fetch the data from the server, so there is a request will go from the client and server will respond the data. All of you are aware of this client server architecture. Something very simple. So there is a two important thing will come in any web application. So this is the very basic thing. Those who are going to develop a web application, they should understand this thing. So there is a client side and there is a server side. So there is a two part will come. So server side means, so there is where there will be our application will be stored here. So where our application will be executing in the server. So client means, so any of the browser. So any of the browser means, so I want to go with the very basic example. So for example, if most of you guys has been applied for any exams, online exams and all. So for example, any government jobs, if you want to apply uh, any government job application, so you people have been used the website, that portal. So when you open this portal with some link like this, so there will be a web page will be loaded, right? So it means that whatever the page is loading to your system, so that is the client. So for example, 1 lakh students are going to apply for the exam. So there is a 1 lakh client request will go. So 1 lakh client means, so from different 1 lakh devices means computer, from the computer browser, they open the portal and they will submit the data. So it means that all the 1 lakh devices will request to the server. So all the 1 lakh devices will act as a client. So each client will the client side, the application we can only load from the browser. So I think browser, everyone aware of the browser. So we have a Chrome browser, Firefox, Internet IE. So some other browsers also available in the market. So we can use any of the browser. So to launch the application, to launch the web application. So this is the very basic thing. Everybody should know this. So, and one more main important. So each client, so whatever I told you, each client will send the HTTP request to the server. So for example, if you load this website, so mobidev.biz. So if you load this, if you type this address bar and you click on enter, so it will find the central server which will pointing to this domain name. So we call it as a domain name. So so for this domain name, where there will be a central server. So this is the World Wide Web. So World Wide Web means, so throughout the World Wide, so we can access this application. So even not only from my Bangalore place, so we can access from any of the country, any of the place we can access it. So when you load this URL in the address bar and you click on enter, so the HTTP request will go to the server. So HTTP, for that we call it as a HTTP request. So in the HTTP request, there is so many methods will come. So there is a get method, post method, delete method. So all those things. So that request, the basic request will go to the server. So then server will process it and it will give the response as a HTML response. So when we receive the HTML response, so for example, this is the request. So this is the HTML response we received. So this HTML response will be the browser can able to load the page. So this browser knows this HTML tag script. So we can edit this code, but when we want to, if we open the same file in the browser, so it will execute and it will show the front end application. So it means all the things will be a front end uh, tags, HTML tags. So here, how many of you know about the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Arun knows about HTML, CSS, JavaScript basics at least. You know,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Namrata, you
Yes.
you know HTML, CSS,
I know
JavaScript.
HTML. Yes, sir.
Have you written any web pages, simple web pages? Have you developed before?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So what about Dars Basavaraj?
Hello, sir.
Why it is a new thing? Is it a new thing for you?
Hello.
Basavaraj, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
The website scripting HTML, CSS, JavaScript ಯಾವಾಗಲಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದ? ಸೊ ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ
ಇಲ್ಲ
ವರ್ಕ್
ಸರ್, ಈಗ ಹೊಸ
ಅಷ್ಟು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇದು ಹೊಸಾದ ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇದೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಹೇಗೆ ಏನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ನೋಡು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಒಂದೆರಡು ಸತಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಅದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅದೇನು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ, ಅದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
So also there is one more part, there is a database. So database means whatever the data we store it, so the data will be stored into the database. So now we are not worry about that much. So because even in when we want to develop the application, we should know about the database also. So database means we are going to, now you just have to know. So we are just going to store the information in the database, central database. Why we use a separate instance or separate database application like this? So because when we are running the application, if server is stopped or server is crashed, something happened, so but the data will be stored in permanently. So when again the server is up, the application will started running. So the data will not be deleted. So even that when the application is running and the application is stopped immediately, so all the data will be cleared from the RAM. So that's why whatever the actions are happening, if there is any user registration or user login, so that user information, everything we store in the database. So that's why we use the database in the server side. So this is the main three parts. So there is a client side and server side and database. So this is all just basic about the web application development. So now we are going to develop the web application. So today I will just execute and show how to create a Django web application, and we'll run that application. We'll run our first web application. So to develop such kind of applications in any, we are having a in Java also we can develop, in C# also we can develop, even in C++ also we can develop, even in Python also we can develop. So one of the famous Django framework, Django is the one of the framework for the web application development. As we know, as in the first class also we have checked how many companies are using the Django to develop their web applications. So this is completely open source and this is completely free to use. So this is also just a library. So I think everyone, we know that. So if you want to use any new library in the Python, so what we have to do in the virtual environment, if you want to install any new library, how we can install the new library in the Python virtual environment. So just last class we checked that. So we have to use the pip command to install any new packages or new libraries or anything. Even if you want to install the Django for our virtual environment to develop the web application, we should use the pip command. So just I'm creating one project. So you just go to the new project and give some project name. So you just follow, and in the next class you should show that by executing one small web application. Python class demo. So like this, I'm going to just create the folder or package name location. So and here only we can select the virtual environment. So it is going to create a venv virtual environment inside this folder. So it creates this Python class demo folder and it creates the virtual environment. So this is going to use the Python 3.10. So you can select, if you have other multiple Python versions, you can select whichever Python version you want to create a virtual environment. You can select here. So the recent is Python 3.10. So I am using the Python 3.10 only. So after giving this information, you just click on the create. So when you click on the create, so it will be start creating the virtual environment. It means that it is setting up the virtual environment for this path. So also it is setting up all the structures or skeleton of that project. So after completed, you just open the terminal. So here you can able to see the virtual environment name. So if it is not showing, So then you are not in the virtual environment. So whatever you are running the command to install or something, so it will for the public, it will install it. So, but only for this particular environment, if you want to install, so like this, it should come. So if you people have any problem creating the virtual environment like this, so you just let me know, so I will fix it. Okay, so now we are just created the folder. So now we have to create the Django project. So this is the Django documentation. So whatever you want to know, for example, if you have any doubt or if you want to know something about in Django, if you forget or if you want to know anything, so you should go for this documentation. So in this site, so this is the official site, and this will be having all the information about that. So this is let's see. So when we are going to create a first project, so what we have to do. So first we need to check the Django version. So but Django is not installed, so it will not show also. Just we'll check the Django version. So no module name Django. So it means that it is not installed the Django. So first we have to install by using the pip command. Pip install and django. So here they have not given the command. Pip install django. So here you can able to see it's downloading the files and it extract and it will start installing the Django packages. So after completed, so it will show successfully installed. So only if you get this, so all the library is completely installed. So otherwise there might be some problem in the installation. So now if we check the version, Python-m Django version, so it will show the Django version. So now it is installed in the virtual environment. So after installing the Python Django, so we are going to create a project. So to create the project, we need to run the command. So Python Django admin start project. So my site means, so you have to give the project name. So you have to give Django admin space, start project space, and then the project name. So I just give the demo. Project name as a demo. So now after that, so if there is no any error, so it will just show the empty. So if you open the folder, so there is a demo folder has been created. So then the project demo has been created. So this is the first step to create the project. So when you just run this command, so these files will be created. So the main manage.py file will be created. So this is the main file to execute all the commands. So to execute all the commands means to run the server, even to any anything if you want in the application, if you want to do any database migrate, if you want to do anything, so we should run from the manage.py file only. So we'll go in detail in the project structure. So in the demo project folder, so these many files has been created. So that is, one is the wusky and urls.py. So these are all the default files. So when you have created the project, so these are the default files will come. So this is the settings.py. So where we have used the configuration. So configuration means, so database configuration, and if you want to use any secret key, we also use the secret key here to for any username, password encryption and all, and for any application security. So we use the secret key value will be stored in the settings.py. So like that kind of all the configurations we are going to do within the settings.py only. So this is the most important file. So that's why. So when we are deploying the application, so we should, before deploying, we should check this whether all the settings are fine or not. So because if you are pointing this database to your local system, and if you are going to deploy to the server, so the database will change. So because you have to point to the server database. So you will come to know exactly what I have to do and all. So these are all the configurations, time zone and language code, so everything. So these are all the default which will come when we create a project. So ASGI and WSGI, these two is the application servers. So like how we have a Apache, Tomcat and Nginx and everything, web application servers, web servers. In the same way for this Django, they are having a separate servers. It's like a WSGI and ASGI. So these are all the servers. So which by default we can run this ASGI server itself. So ASGI means that is the asynchronous. So we have created the project. So then if you want to run the project just for a demo project, so whatever after created, how it will come. So before that, we need to start one small app also. So this is the file structures which has been created. Okay. Module not created. That's fine. So after created the project, we need to just will run the project and we'll see. So that is the basic one. So to run the manage.py, we need to go inside this demo, cd space demo, then Python manage.py. So we should be in the path of manage.py file. So when you run this command, Python manage.py space run server, so the application server will be start running. So this is the port listening into this 8000 port. So if you just click on this link, so you can able to see the web application. So this is the default application which has been given from the Django. This is just a example template. So here we have to load our content. So exactly what we are going to develop, which web application we are going to develop. So our landing page or home page, we need to load it here. So this is the, once you just create a Django application, so we will get this. Any doubts in this? Any confusion? So you can parallelly, you can run and you can test in your systems also. Otherwise, if you are not able to listen here, so you can, after that, you can watch the video or else you can try it and you can let me know. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So these are all the request going. So get. So first, once I click, if I click on that or if I reload it, so these are the request will go. So that is for to the server is responding all the HTML files, and there is a this icon file and CSS styling file, everything it will return. So that's why it is giving the log. So when the application is running, if it throws any error, so it will print the error here only. So this is for testing while we are developing time. So we use like this. So but in the actual time, we need to write the logs. So that we will see later. So what is logs and how to write the logs and all those things. Okay. So next, I just stopped the server. So now what I am going to do, so this is the main project demo. Okay. So for example, I'm going to develop a one school project. So for that school web application project. So for that, I just given the project name as that school name itself. So here it is a demo now. So you can assume that that school name something I have given as a demo. So inside this project, so we can create a modules. So instead of what happens, so when we create a module, so project structure will be in a proper way. So for example, there is a module example. If I want to give a module example, if we need to do the student registration, login, and student information, and student password change or reset password. So those are all coming to the one module. So that for that we can say session management, we can say, otherwise user module we can say. So like that we need to create a modules in the application. So to create the modules, so we need to run the command. So that is the start app. So Python space manage.py start app and then the module name. So module name I am just giving a okay, let's be as a polls only. So while creating the project, which command we have given? Start project. So after the project structure is created, so inside the project folder, you have to execute the start app command. So after start project, you have to run the. So every time you have to use the Python manage.py if you want to make anything inside the application. If you want to do so, Python manage.py. After that, we are sending start app. So after the start app command, so we need to add the module name. So there is no error. So the module is created. So just let's see. So the polls module is created. So even in the polls module, so there is a files has been created. So that is the default files which we are going to use. So this each files, why it is created and when we have to use. So let's go in the next class. Okay, so first all of you first create a project from this IDE and create the virtual environment. After creating virtual environment, you have to install the Django. So after install the Django, you have to run the 2 commands to create the project and to create the module. So after that, you should run the python manage.py run server. Also, we can run in some specific port also. For example, if I want to run in 8080, so I need to mention the port 8080. So then it is start listening at the 8080 port. So this is the 8000 port which I have run last time. So it will not execute. Okay. So one more command I will show you. Okay, this is enough for today. So all of you practice this and you run your first Django application. So you just do all these setups and these things. So from tomorrow, we'll check the internal files and what are all the functionalities and how the database will be created. Here the database is default, it will come the SQLite. So but we can use any of the database. Any of the database means we can use MongoDB or MySQL or NoSQL. So any kind of or Oracle database, any database, we can use it just by changing the settings. In the settings, we just need to add some configuration. So there is no need of any queries needs to be changed because database, any other database if we used, we no need to change any queries inside the application. We just need to mention the engine in the engine, whether it is a Oracle or MongoDB or which DB we are going to use, we should mention this configuration. So and after that, database username, password, everything we need to configure it. So all those things we'll see in the next class, how to configure the database. So that's why this is very easy to do the migration for any of the database. So at the any time, at the any point of time, even if application is completed. So if you want to change the database, it is very simple. So just by running 2 commands, so we can migrate to any of the database. So this is also one of the very most advantage of this Python Django. Any doubts in this?
No, sir.